Can someone explain to me like the concept of like why wars happen?
Hey, Forest Friend, I can. Let me introduce you to the concept of instruments of national power. You could easily memorize this with the acronym DIME: diplomatic, informational, military, and economic. Though some break these down a little bit more to add FIL: financial, intelligence, and law. Just talking it out is really diplomacy. That's what diplomacy is all about, right? But nations are complicated things, alliances are complicated, and all of these, uh, categories, the instruments of power, they just like organically interface with each other as nations try to accomplish different things, even when most of those things are internal to the nation and not like trying to push other countries around. As a result, even without malicious actions or actors, these instruments of national power can inadvertently cause a lot of damage to another nation. For example, nations simply prioritizing trade with a certain group and, inadvertently ignoring trade with another might leave that other nation in scarcity for supplies or even food. And most nations recognize that there's got to be a way to like do something drastic in these scenarios. But we don't just have like simple misunderstandings or like accidental omission. There are many malicious actors in society. And while many of them do really big and risky things to get into positions of power, a lot of them get through all the filters and make it there. We've seen that plenty. The same people that put holes in a drywall when they're angry or scam people out of money or steal parking spaces and like do all these other like silly like malicious acts. Yeah, they're up at the highest offices in most nations. They're also religious leaders, CEOs, they're your mid-level managers, they're your coworkers, they're everywhere. And because of those positions of power, they force multiply. They can push their ideology onto otherwise ethical people. And you'll notice most of the world does do just talking. But occasionally, these malicious actors use the just talking to enact pain and suffering on another nation. And they don't even have to threaten them with weapons to do it. We have a perfect example with Trump, where maliciously informational and intelligence action has been used to change US minds and place them in a power. And then unintentionally, economic circumstances have really made our situation drastic. This served to amplify the sentiment against everybody else. And now we're going to live the consequences of multiple adversary nations literally just talking in order to accomplish this electoral result. Just like the last Trump presidency, we're probably going to have another 500,000 excess deaths for pandemic, for war, whatever, because of non military action. Most people recognize that this maliciousness exists. And most people recognize there's a point where diplomacy and everything else in that acronym don't function anymore. And you got to use military action to physically stop those other instruments from being able to affect you. Hope this helps. Like, follow, engage, please. Love you guys. Moose.